Alright, here we go again. Before we dive into today's race, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who watched the last video and for all the comments and support. It really means the world to me, and I appreciate every single one of you for sticking around. Now, for today's video, I'm back in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and this time, I'm behind the wheel of a yellow Mercedes-AMG GT3 here at the legendary Monza circuit. Honestly, I'm not a pro sim racer. Far from it. This is just a hobby that I love, and I'm so happy I get to share these moments with you. So yeah, expect some mistakes and not so perfect driving, but that's all part of the fun, right? As always, I've got the green screen setup running in the background, and for those who don't know how it works, let me break it down. The idea is pretty simple. I film myself surrounded by a green screen, and then in post-production, I remove the green and replace it with the in-game footage. You've probably seen this technique used in movies and TV shows. It's a classic. Everything from huge Hollywood blockbusters to news broadcasts uses green screen tech to layer actors or presenters into different environments. It's been around for years, and it's still one of the best ways to create immersive experiences. For me, though, it's not all smooth sailing. To make sure the green screen covers the entire background, my actual gameplay monitor is really tiny. So during these races, it's a bit tricky to see everything. I'm basically racing on a mini screen just so I can fill the frame properly for the video edit later in DaVinci Resolve. I keep imagining how amazing it's going to be when I finally get my hands on a VR setup. Instead of squinting at a tiny screen, I'll be able to fully immerse myself in the race, seeing the whole environment around me in VR while still recording for you guys. It's going to be a game changer, and I honestly can't wait for that day to come. That would allow me to race with full enjoyment while still giving you the mixed reality experience. I know some people on Facebook have seen my posts and might not fully understand what I'm trying to do with this setup, but the thing is, I'm sacrificing some of my enjoyment during gameplay, racing on this small monitor, just to make sure you all get a better viewing experience. I get it, it's not ideal, but for now, it's the best way to create something special for the channel. And who knows, sooner or later, I'm sure we'll reach a point where both you and I are loving this setup, whether it's VR or a bigger screen, while still keeping this cool green screen concept intact. Speaking of the setup, I know a lot of you are curious about the gear I'm using. So here's a quick breakdown of my rig. I've got the Monza R9 wheelbase, which provides super smooth force feedback. My wheel is the Monza CSV2, which feels awesome in the hands, super realistic. The pedals are Monza CRP, which give me great control, especially during braking. And of course, I'm using the Monza HGP shifter and handbrake, which complete the whole setup. It's a solid setup, but the dream is to one day upgrade to a full VR experience. That way, I can enjoy the gameplay as much as you enjoy watching it. Oh, and since we're racing under a clear sky today at Monza, I have to say the atmosphere feels perfect. The bright sunlight, the crisp visuals, and the sound of the roaring engine really add to the experience. It's honestly one of the best parts of sim racing, the feeling of being on a famous circuit like Monza under ideal racing conditions. Even though I'm not a professional driver, the immersion this setup offers makes it feel like I'm in the cockpit of a real Mercedes-AMG GT3, taking on this legendary track. Before I wrap up, I just want to encourage anyone out there who's interested in trying out green screen setups or editing in DaVinci Resolve. Don't hesitate to dive in. There are plenty of tutorials out there on YouTube to help you get started. If you've got the interest, you can definitely pull it off. It might take some trial and error, but trust me, it's worth it. Lastly, a big thank you again to everyone who supports the channel. Whether you like, comment, or share these videos, it really means a lot. And hey, if you're curious about the gear I'm using, especially the Monza ecosystem, check them out. I've personally bought all this gear, and while this isn't sponsored, I can honestly say it's a fantastic setup for any sim racing enthusiast. So go ahead and check them out if you're interested. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next race.